Hey guys. Hey, how's it going? This is Colin, your friendly admin here on the good old Age of Sigmar Ironjawz page. I know it's been a very long time. I don't know if you can tell from the beard length from the last time you saw me. It's been quite a time. I've been really busy. I moved recently and I've been trying to get that set up. I'm trying to get a job. Typical stuff when you move, right? So I just wanted to put together a little quick video because I know I said something yesterday about wanting to get back into the swing of things when it comes to videos and when it comes to talking about our faction, specifically Ironjawz. And right away we have more people talking about, what to ally in, what should we be doing with that. So, but we could talk about that another time. I want to really talk about is... Hello. Hey, John. I really want to talk about where we currently are, where Ironjawz are sitting when it comes to, you could say the meta, you could say the world, you could say the lore, anything like that, but where are we right now? Because the big, the new kids on the block, if you would, the new pretty toy on the block when it comes to destruction isn't an orc, it's a grot, and it's the Gloomspite Gits, and everybody is going friggin' crazy for the new Gloomspite, which... I'm just like everybody else with that. When I get some money together, I'm hoping to get some of their stuff because they look really cool. I'll give them that. But they have brought back, the option of playing the grots, which a lot of people really get into destruction for the grots. They think that the grots have more character, they have better magic usually, if you want to put it like that. They have the numbers, and they got the monsters, and they got all that kind of stuff. Okay, so Ironjawz don't have all that. So what do we have that we offer people? That if somebody were to ask you, why would I want to play Ironjawz? So to begin with, it's a low model count. We're going to go right for the pocket right away. It's not as low as, say, things like Beastclaw Raiders or Troggoth or, a special monster army like that. But it is much lower than, say... everybody's standard army. You're not going to have to paint a lot when it comes to them, and the models themselves are really good, I think. But to begin with, you don't need to invest in a whole ton of time and effort if you don't want to. You're going to want to, but the biggest unit you'll have usually is a 30-man block of Ard Boys. Most of us have that as a staple in a lot of our 2,000 point lists. It's 30 Ard Boys right in the center, and they take a while to paint. We all have been there. Do 10 Ard Boys and see how long it takes. It takes a surprisingly long time considering how easy they are to paint and put together if you think about it. But that's going to be your largest unit. You're usually going to have 30 Ard Boys, 2 units of 5 Brutes, 1 of each character, and maybe some Gorgruntas, and that's it. That's your army, and it's something with that small model count too that comes into play, that our army itself is very elite. It's a weird concept to really think about it, that orcs are elite, but these are the elite orcs. They are multi-wound, they are larger bases, they have better saves, they have better attacks, they work together very, very well, if you think about it like that, but they are a much smaller force. Now, most people think that's a hard thing to deal with, simply because you can't take objectives as easily as, say, like, one of my friends always played Daughters of Cain. He can grab every single objective in one turn on his side. I can't do that. Well, how can I win a match if it's objective-based if I'm facing a horde army? Simple fact is the maneuverability. Now, we don't really think Ironjawz are that maneuverable, but they really are. You can either take the lower model count and take the Iron Fist Battalion, which is the one I recommend. Gore Fist is okay. I've never really been a huge fan of it, but it's okay. But the Iron Fist Battalion is a great one for maneuvering your models, especially on turn 1. Pushing them all to one side, doing a big counter flank or denied flank, really manipulating how fast they can go, simply because you're going to get usually an additional 4 inches of movement, even before the destruction move that we get as Ironjawz. And at the same time, our guys hit better than most other armies. Well, on par with some armies. We don't have everything that some of the armies have. We're not Ironjawz aren't Stormcast. We're not a low model count with a great support system. We have three main things that support our troops, and those 3 things are needed in every army, And that's where a lot of people tend to see, well, if you play one Ironjawz army, you've played against all of them, so they're going to be easier to beat us, so why do I even play such a point-and-click style army? Well, surprisingly enough, that's not the case. You can play an army without a lot of Ardboys. You can play an army that's mostly Gore-gruntas. You can play an army that is multiple small units of brutes or one big block of brutes in the center surrounded by other things because of our new artifacts and our new command abilities. Things like, the Golden Tooth. The Golden Tooth lets us not have to take battle shock tests within a certain range. Put that on a War Chanter, pop them behind your big block of brutes, and automatically brutes leadership 6 doesn't matter anymore. You don't need to worry about that, and your guy is far enough back that he's usually out of combat at that point. You can take the archetype of big unit of Ardboys. Well, I've had people talking on here that say, well, I don't want to play any brutes. I want to play a lot of Ardboys supported by some Gore-gruntas. Can I do that? You can. It's a completely different army at that point. It's actually much closer to a horde-based army if you think about it. Simply because your guys are pumping out a hell of a lot of attacks, but they're not as heavy-hitting as a brute. They don't have a lot of cleaving ability unless you give them the two-handed weapon. One thing that's always struck me about the Ironjawz that I think that we have over other armies, our character. Our general character, if you would. You're commonly referred to as the OP player? Wow, an OP Ironjawz player. I was called OP before for my Ironjawz, nobody wanting to play against them at that point. A small squad of brutes. I like the small squads of brutes, of Ardboys, supporting my other units. If you run multiple small units of Ardboys, they don't cost that many points if you really think about it, and you can use them as quick objective grabbers or support pieces at that point. I would take Allied Troggoths too, simply for that center holding ability of theirs. I think we talked about it before. Troggoths are great at objective holding. Our army is not really designed about that. Troggoths are. If you put them on an objective, and if you throw a Mystic Shield on them or something like that, they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay there for a long time, because that's a lot of wounds that someone has to devote to chew through, especially if you throw them on the flanks, because Troggoths have a better speed than our boys do. They can go up against other small chaff units that are going to be trying to take the sides. I know it's a waste, but if you take a small unit of 3 Troggoths, half the time you don't want them to get, bogged down in combat by themselves. You want them to support something. But I love our boss. War Chanter needs to be fixed. And so does, if you want to play that, so does our Shaman. I think both of them need an errata. They're not bad. I don't hate them. I love both of them to death. They're my children still. But the War Chanter needs to either have his ability be a complete hero-to-hero phase, or he needs to become a priest. And the Shaman needs to be able to get more magic spells, and that's really it with him. I know Foot of Gork, people would want that lowered. I don't mind it being at a 10, because chances are you're never going to be canceling it. Whoa! I can't yell too loud because people are asleep. How you doing, CJ? I want him to have access to more spells, and to be able to cast 2 spells a turn if we could. Probably not going to ever happen. I don't really care at that. But if we have the option of having more spells like everybody else does, if we have our own magic list, that would really, really help out our weird knob. It would make him worth 180 points if he could do a speed bump. Speed bump, okay. If he could do a speed boost. If he could do extra attacks. If he could really do some channeling offensive magic that's different or something like that. Anything like that. But what I mean is, as I have him right here, who's my favorite, my big boy right here, is our boss. I have him, and of course I have him on, I'm still working on my Maw Crusher. I'm always working on that. My boss on him. I love Mega Boss on foot. He is by and large my favorite character model in the game for his simplicity, even the simplicity of how he looks. He is, without a doubt, top 5, if not top 3, foot-based general heroes, if you're going to put it like that, in the game. There's nobody else that walks around on foot like him that can do what he does. He not only can give you a great command ability, about 3 of them on foot, I'd do it. I have 2 of them. I really always wanted to try that where it's just a bunch of brutes. I want to do a brute fist that's backed up by a bunch of bosses on foot and stuff like that, like a big, mean-looking brute fist with like 2 or 3 bosses and a couple of war chanters and stuff like that, just because I like the aggressive style. The boss on foot is a dangerous thing to deal with when you really think about what he can do. The fact that not only does he make your boys on foot hit better that are brutes, not only does he have, the Wah ability, himself, he's a monster. He can just run roughshod over somebody if they're not watching themselves. His damage output is crazy. The fact that he gets base 6 attacks with his choppa and it does 2 damage each, he can really mess you up if you don't watch yourself, and that's before you give him anything else. I love the way he looks. I love the way he plays. The boss on foot has never done me wrong. The boss on the Maw Crusher, until I figured out how I like to play him, was hit or miss. But the boss on Maw Crusher 2 is a wrecking ball and a half. My only issue with our characters is that we are able to get, mortal wounded off the table. That's why I take daubing still. I'll always take it. Simply because I don't have the other books. I don't know how the other magic weapons and items work. But our characters are always going to be targets. So we always have to think about, what's up? Hey, Brad, how you doing down there in Florida? I'm up here in New Jersey now, so it's a little cold outside. That's why I have this on my face. I've been told I need to trim it down, potentially for a job. I don't know yet. If I'm going to trim it before I try to get a job. But I still love my boss. Everything is centered around your boss at that point. And I think when you play, you never really have to worry about, we do. We really do. Yeah, I will dwarf it up. But Scott, I've always said we need one on a Gorgrunta, or we need one on like a Gorgrunta chariot. I want to see that. I think that would be so awesome to see if we've got the 2 new things we could get, or 3 things if we could get something else, another unit at that point. We've always said a ranged brute unit would be really cool. Just whipping javelins at you or something like that. But I think one on a Gorgrunta would be more than sufficient. Gorgruntas are another thing that I think need to be fixed. I am very, very... I think I said the other day to CJ, I have a love-hate relationship with Gorgruntas. I love them for what they do. I hate the fact that that's all they do. Of all the 5-wound cavalry, I think Gorgruntas are probably down at the lower end of it, simply because they don't do what the other 5-wound cavalry does. They do something completely different, which I'm not a big fan of. They're a mobile tar pit, and that's it. They don't do anything else. They get in the way, they can hold an objective, and they tie your enemy up. That's it. That's all they're going to do. Don't expect them to just, run roughshod over something. Even with a double Wah on them half the time, they don't do enough damage, simply because that's just how they are. Hello, Nino. How you doing? But I think our boss is... I think the war boss is the best. Yeah, I like them, CJ. I don't... I know what they're there for, and that just kind of upsets me a little bit. I understand what they're there for, and I understand that if you want to make them not that way, you have to play them a certain way, and that's what I don't like. I don't like that we have to bottleneck our armies to only have certain things in it for it to play the way that we want it to play, as opposed to things like Stormcast, where you have... I'm always going to compare it to them because they're the poster boys at that point. Stormcast Eternals have everything, and you can play everything however you want, simply because they have proper backup at the same time. For us to make our army not viable, but more able to control the opposition, you have to include certain things that aren't in your army to begin with. You need to have another magic user, which is usually just a Grot Shaman. You need to have something with bodies to help you grab things. If you are playing Ironjawz and you don't have a war boss with a Wah banner, you're not playing right, if you're going to put it like that, and it's kind of upsetting when you think about that, the fact that you need these other things to be in our army. Why don't we have those? Why don't we have a boss with a banner? It's so simple. Give us the boss with the banner in our army, and I know it could upset the people that play greenskins. I still love greenskins. I still got a bunch of them. But give him the same rules, only that when it's not planted, make it reroll ones to wound. When it is planted, make it reroll all misses to wound, or something like that. I think we need, as Ironjawz go, even as Bone Splitters, because I'm also a Bone Splitters player, I think we need our own terrain piece. I think that's a big thing that's happening with everybody. I would love to see endless spells for Ironjawz and a terrain piece in the future. That would be something that I would buy, simply because I don't have it to begin with, but also it's something that we really need. Yeah, Khorne has a banner that's been doing that forever, that once you plant it, it really screws with the opposition's magic. Why can't we have something that boosts our guys up? Ironjawz are, by and large, when you look at them, they are a foot-based cavalry army. That's how I've always viewed them. They are a foot-based cavalry army when it comes to everything that's not an Ardboy, simply because an Ardboy unit is our shields. That's it. Everything else is about attacking. Brutes are not going to hold objectives, ever. And if your brutes are holding objectives, you're playing them wrong. That's just how it is. That's not what they're made to do. Their armor is good, and their wounds are good. That's it. They do not have enough wounds, enough armor, and not enough bravery to hold objectives. What you want your brutes to do is to get hit with a war chant or chant, get a wah or two on them, and send a 5-man unit up against a block of 20 guys and wipe nearly all of them out, and just delete stuff off the table. The unfortunate thing is that, from what I've seen, they are great. I love them. I think they're, to begin with, they're some of the best looking models that were made for us. I still like my Ardboys, but they can do a lot of damage, but you have to grind with an Ardboy unit. You don't have to grind with a Brute unit. A Brute unit is made to run up and hit. And unfortunately, I feel that the rules reflect that to a fluffy T. The fact that all their big things happen in their combat phase, not the other combat phase. It does not continue. It stops once they're done, because they've done the hitting, so now they get hit back. And it's not that great. We need a way to add some... Yeah, our magic does need some support, but that's how it is with a lot of earlier armies that haven't really been looked at like that. Unfortunately, Seraphon have progressed past us simply because of, I think, summoning is a huge thing now, obviously. Every new army that's coming out has some form of summoning, or terrain piece and summoning, or new endless spells, obviously. And I'm talking about the last two, who are two armies who have never summoned before. Beasts of Chaos and Gloomspite Gits, or, Night Goblins and Spiders and stuff, have never summoned in their entire existence on this game. I will say, you could say summoning demons, summoning undead. Yeah, those guys have been doing it since the heyday. And unfortunately, if you did it wrong, you could blow your guy up, and that's why they used to be able to do it to an OP fashion. But those two other armies have never done it before. But the way they explain it and the way they set it up makes perfect sense. Of course, extra beastmen would show up if there's a slaughter at a herdstone going on. Of course, extra grots would pop out of this hole, because it's a shrine to their god at that point. Why can't we have that? It's always talking about in the fluff how when a bunch of these orcs get together and start getting themselves riled up, more of them show up. That's why when the Ardfist first got dropped during the errata time, it was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then unfortunately they came out and said, well, let's fix this. And they did, and they changed it back. And it's a little disconcerting for us. I will always tell people, because I have seen a couple people on here, everybody's going to do, we're all going to do our own thing. We're all adults. We're all going to make our own decisions. And a lot of people have been saying that, they're not winning enough. They're not feeling like they have a good competitive game. They're just not doing well. They can't do, stuff like that. I understand that. I think everybody on this page has been through that with their army, especially with Ironjawz. There's a time when Ironjawz first came out, and I was just rocking everybody because nobody knew how to deal with them because they're a brand new army. And then it settled in that, oh, they're susceptible to mortal wounds, their bravery, their movement. We can really deal with them this way. And everybody started to make lists. And unfortunately, messing with someone's movement, messing with someone's bravery, and dishing out mortal wounds is a new big thing. And it works on every army. Yeah, it would just be a big-ass foot. Let's just be honest there. I would want to see, like, how those jaws were done, but I want to see, like, them coming out of the ground, like a big stone, like, Gork head popping out and grabbing something. That'd be really cool. But unfortunately, those are our weak points. And people started making their armies around that simply because they're a good tactical advantage over every army. If you can pump out mortal wounds like no one's business. I remember facing like a Clan Skyr list one of my first times. Oh my god. That's just dumb. It was so dumb how many mortal wounds this army can pop out at you. And you can't do anything about it. Hold my beer. And then they gave us some other stuff, but we need to understand that when it comes to, if you want to call it the meta or the tier that we're at, destruction is never going to be top tier. It's just how destruction is. Destruction can be there for a little bit, but they'll always get noticed more than anybody else. And that's just how it is. Undead, or the death armies with Nagash, will never be brought down. Stormcast will always have every wonderful thing. And chaos is chaos. Chaos is always going to have, if blood isn't working, magic's going to work. And if magic's not working, disease is going to work. And maybe in a little while, BDSM demons are going to be the new thing. But destruction will always be second or third rung, simply because that's just how we are. We're never meant to be the big victors in a campaign. And are you talking about demonettes? Because I am not a Slaanesh fan. That's my least favorite demon. It goes Khorne, Tzeentch, and Nurgle for me. We are going to be on the back foot. But what that means is that we are going to become better players. Ironjawz players are the best players. That's just how it is. We are given old rules, first generation rules, in a third generation. Oh, Stormcast, I hate them. I think they're a little overdone sometimes, and I've stomped them plenty of times, but they get so many fun new things. I want to see a brute just like smashing a Stormcast helmet on and like strapping it on himself, like, oh yeah. Just walking around like, oh, Sigmar you get, like, yeah. Just like everybody notices but nobody says anything, just because, like, just let him go, like, oh, that's Gary the orc, we don't mind him, he's kind of cool. Everybody else is coming down in the lightning bolt, he just jumps out of Azerheim into something head first. But Ironjawz players, and when it comes to destruction, Ironjawz has never really been seen as top tier. It was always like Bone Splitters first because of Cunninruck. And as a Bone Splitters player and as someone who has used Cunninruck before, yeah, you will delete a unit in a turn and then delete another unit in a following turn. It does get a little obnoxious, but I did play against Morathi with that, so I don't feel so bad because Morathi. Morathi problems. Or Beastclaw Raiders with their insane mortal wound output and their insane beasts, which I love. Beastclaw. I wanted to make like a riding of the Oliphant army with them, with like, I think I worked it out, it was like 8 models. It was a couple of Stonehorns, a couple of Thunder Tusks, some Yetis, and that was it, and like a Hunter. And I think that's all I had. It was so cool. Grots they have become very competitive now simply because they're new. Back then they were pretty good too, but they were never, you had to play them a certain way. Once again, destruction can be incredibly competitive, but there's really one build that works for each army. It's Cunninruck, it's Thunder Tusk Horde, And for a time, it was Thunder Tusk backed up by Grots, and that was a real bitch because nobody knew how to deal with that. Let's see what's your new list there. So you're gonna have to tell me about like the artifacts and stuff like that because I only know them for Ironjawz because I don't have the other books because I'm poor. I like the Weird Fist. I really do. I think I've played it before and I've had a lot of fun playing the Weird Fist. Actually, I think I stomped my friend's army, like his Stormcast army, into the dirt by like turn 2 with them just because I got the foot off and all those extra mortal wounds added onto it, just jumped around and really did it. But I understand everybody that's still on the page, and if they're watching this now, it's pretty late, so thank you for that. I think we will never be above anybody in that case. We're always going to be the underdogs. I will, don't worry. Ironjawz will always be the underdogs, but that's just where we want to be. We want to be surrounded because now we know where you are, that kind of thing. You know, it is a very Ironjawz mentality about that because I've tried to embrace my army. It's an army that I can never get away from. I always want to try something new. For a while, I was going to try Beast of Chaos again because I have a bunch of them, or Skaven because of the new stuff, and I got a bunch of them, or my Bone Splitters again. Even my Bone Splitters, I was painting them, and I'm liking them, and then I played them, and they don't play. I was thinking, like, these guys aren't playing right. What's wrong with this? And I thought of it, like, this isn't my Ironjawz. I'm playing this army like they're my Ironjawz, and it became a sense of, I've played Ironjawz for so long, I know how they work. Anybody who's played Ironjawz long enough knows all their stats, knows their abilities, knows their point costs, and knows how they like to outfit them. That's the other thing. You see a lot of different people outfitting their bosses differently. Maybe when it comes to extra like damage output for a Maw Crusher boss, you might want to change it up unless you have a game plan with him, in which case I'd like to see it. I want to see that work, but we know what artifacts and what command abilities work for our guys. I've always felt I'll always share what my army is doing and how it's running and what I run with it, and people will look and go, oh, that's a really interesting thing. I do this, like your army, CJ. I don't run my army like that, but I run mine in a different way. But your way seems pretty cool, and I'm like, oh, I'd give that a shot. That looks kind of cool. I don't want to paint 60 Ard boys. If you want to loan me 30, I'll do it. But I feel that it's such a condensed army that it will take a little bit of time simply because everything else is the power level is much, our power level is not over 9,000. Yeah, I made that reference. Sue me. Yeah, it happens. I always feel like I go to a different army and I paint some stuff and I like it, and then I come back and I'm like, but my Ironjawz. I love my Ironjawz. I want to keep painting and playing with my Ironjawz. I love painting. I'm a hobby kind of guy like that. I want to learn how to do more sculpting because, like I said, I have a third box of brutes that I haven't put together yet, and it's coming down to if I want to make them into like fungus orcs. I know, redundant, but I mean like fungus based with like mushrooms on their head and everything and on their armor, like they're all brainwashed and have a fungoid with them just for funsies. They have so much personality and they're so much fun to paint. Brutes are so much fun to paint. Fucking Aquaman movie. Oh man, damn you, Jason Momoa, you son of a bitch. He likes to drink beer and throw tomahawks. I want to hang out with him. God damn it. Everybody else is like, oh, he's so hot. I'm like, yeah, I want to just throw a tomahawk at something. Yeah. And see, and that army that you have right there, Nino, it covers a lot of bases that you needed to cover. And from the looks of it, it's a very blocky, hard to get through kind of list. I have a rogue idol. I haven't finished painting it. I want to get into my army. But the other thing, like I said, I want my brutes, my third unit. I think I put it up a while ago. Do I make them into like big bone splitters, like no armor, stabby, like bone weapons and all that kind of stuff? Or do I make them into, mushroom-headed dudes who are like brainwashed by a fungoid that I bring along just for fun? And that's, once you understand how your army really works, you can play around with stuff. It is. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I like the list. It's, you've got like that rogue idol is such a bitch to deal with. I love it. I love that big rocky, rock grinding asshole. I mean, I could, Scott. I'm not gonna. I could give it to you, but I'm not. Man, I got that on eBay, actually, out of all the places. I found it when it wasn't being made. I was like, oh my god, how much is it? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell anybody that I spent this much money on a hunk of, resin. But I can't stop with my Ironjawz, and I feel like anything else that I get that's destruction-based is going to have to be able to ally with them, just so I can say that I bought it. The Gloom Spike kits. I played an army with a bunch of Moon Clan Grots once, and just checking what time. Yeah, I played one with a bunch of Moon Clan, bunch of the Moon Clan Grots, and it worked because they do a really good job of getting in the way or grabbing objectives and stuff. It does. That thing is I need to finish painting it, and I want to, and it's just such a big fucking thing. Actually, from what I've heard too, and I want to try it, my Bone Splitters would really do well with it because I have a lot of magic users in there, and the leadership bubble that you get from it is really cool too. So just pop that thing right in the middle and just get extra 1 to casting, 1 to bravery. Like, that's amazing. Okay, I'll do that. Especially for our boys, they need it. They need that extra 1. You'd be surprised what happens when your bravery goes from 6 to a 7, right? So guys and gals, whoever's watching, I just want to let you know I'm still here. I'm still painting. See, I'm still working on guys. I did a thing where I decided to differentiate the each unit. Since the brutes are going to look, they're going to all kind of look the same. They have the same skin tone and armor and cloth. So I'm like, well, what can I do? My first unit, I think I was rushing out of all things. I just covered their hands with corn blood, and it looks really cool. So they're the blood fists or something like that. And then my new unit, they all have different skull face paint. So they're the skull crackers. So each unit will look like it's in the same army, but a different group within the army. So they all look individual in that case, but they all look like they fit together, which is something I've always been trying to work on, like this shaman where I extended the hood a little bit with some green stuff, which is one of the only green stuff things I've ever done, and it's surprisingly easy. And then the face paint on the boss there, where I gave him the red jaw with the skull paint. Actually, I got off of a comic book called The Realm, I think it's called. It's really a cool comic too, but there's an orc in it that looks like that. I'm like, well, that's perfect. So don't feel down if you're not winning. In fact, if you're not winning, you can learn from those things, right? We always say that, but always feel free to ask us here. Everybody on our page, out of all the Age of Sigmar pages or Warhammer pages in general, I'm proud to say that I hear the most positive feedback from people on this page. You guys are doing an awesome job with that. We've had some ups and downs. We've had a couple of hiccups because you can't be, a page for going on almost 2 years, around 2 years, and not expect something like that. It just happens, But our fan base, by and large, are Ironjawz and Ironjawz players and guys and gals that love Ironjawz, and that's why with CJ coming and saying that he wants to do a podcast based solely on Ironjawz, I understand there's not that much when it comes to that, but we can build from there. I think. Well, I mean, you're just gonna put that thing on there that might upset some people. Nice. See, you're getting the hang of it. I remember when you first came here and you were asking us all so many questions. Now, you're getting the hang of it, dude. That Maw Crusher's a bitch. Nice. It's always good when you kill Supreme Commander Nagash. And whenever whenever I used to play my friend who had Arcan the Black, he just did the Skeletor voice the entire time. So we have Skeletor and Mum-Ra, and they just get beaten by our guys. That's just how it is. But if there's anybody on this page that's watching this and is feeling down, is feeling like everything, their army isn't playing very well. They're not getting the hang of painting it. They don't know how to outfit their things. They don't know what to do next with their army. They want to, but they just don't know if that's the best way of doing it. They don't know if their tactics are working. Just saying to us that, Ironjawz suck. Okay, well, what's going on? You have your right. You have the right to say that you don't like something. You have the right to say you don't like war chanters, CJ. I've said it. I want to see a ranged unit of brutes with harpoons, so that when they hit something, they can pull it in or something like that. Because they're pulling it in to crack the shit out of it. Obviously, it's hard because Ironjawz are basically, as they say, they don't use range. That's not their thing. What's funny is Khorne used to say that, and they got a fucking cannon. So who knows, right? Maybe we can get some guys that are throwing shot puts or axes or something. But if you don't like something, or if something's not working for you, or if you're just getting fucking pissed, if you're just upset about my Ironjawz army isn't doing anything, I'm getting wiped out turn 2, what's going on? Let us tell us, hey guys, I'm getting really frustrated with this, what should I do? And as a retort, if you see that their army isn't balanced, if it's not in a world that they should not have it, but tell them, look, you have a Gore-Grunter based army that's backed up by nothing but foot heroes. It's going to be, you really can't do that. It's a rough thing. You want to get at least, a Maw Crusher to keep up with your guys or something like that, or get Gordrak or something like that. Or all I have are, 2 units of brutes, and where should I go from there? We all have seen that question, and we all know the same answer to it. And I like that everybody kind of says the same thing, but, you could always say, well, what are you looking to do? What kind of Ironjawz army are you trying to make? And remember, with Ardboys, there is no wrong loadout. I keep seeing that, you should only give them 2 hand weapons. Mine's mixed. Mine's a mix of things. I like having my unit that's a mixture of things just because it messes with them sometimes. What do you mean they have shields? I thought they had 2 hand weapons. I'm like, they do. They have 2 hand weapons too, right over there. Just remember that we are here because we love destruction. We're not here because we worship the dark gods, or that we think Sigmar's the bee's knees, or that... See, I understand the squigs getting launched out of a catapult. But it's a little too comical. I feel like Ironjawz aren't the comedic type when it comes to that. I think that's closer to, the other guy, the Gloomspite at that point. They're a little more crazy and weird. I think I would like, I like the idea of, who knows, maybe one of those, a mobile platform kind of thing, like a fucking Mad Max big fucking platform that makes our guys better or something like that. Because really, if you want to think about it, we don't need a Maw Crusher. How about it's a Maw Crusher that launches Maw Crushers? How about that? I was when I listened to one of the audiobooks, how they had these big these pontoon looking things that were on the actual ground, and they're being driven by gore grunters, and they've got shamans and war chanters on them, and they kind of soup everybody else up. All I could think of was that big speaker truck that was in Mad Max Fury Road with the Doof Warrior on the front with the guitar. So something that boosts our guy's ability. What if we had something that if you're within 12 inches of this platform, that unit can run and charge in the same turn? On top of the movement that we already have. Because really, if you want to think about it, we don't need shooting. Shooting is a good add-on, but we don't need shooting. What we need is speed. Khorne doesn't have any army of Khorne, unless they're taking that formation with the cannons, they don't have a lot of shooting. So how do they do it? They have crazy speed. They have the ability to run and charge. Beasts of Chaos run and charge all over the place. Imagine if we had that. Imagine if a unit of brutes could move in the hero phase 4 inches and then move another minimum 5 inches and then be able to still charge. Yeah, but everybody has it, and I mean that's what they're going to do. But wholly within a 50 millimeter, not a 50, a Maw Crusher size base, so wholly within 15 inches off of that, you're getting everything around it. I just like the idea of, you gotta make it kind of sensible too. Well, imagine if you had that with an Iron Fist, so then you're pretty much getting a double run, and you could still charge. That would be insane. That would be something that would really, the Alpha Strike would be a real thing at that point. Everybody says, oh, we can do that. No, imagine if we just ran as quickly as we could. That was in, what is it? That was Warhammer Online. I remember that. But that was a regular orc, and regular orcs were dumb, and they just threw them against walls. I played that game. I had a black orc in that game, so once again, Ironjawz. Used to beat the shit out of people with it. I think one of the rules was kick them in the early bits, so you just kick them in the groin. Sounds like an orc thing to do. Oh, I will. It's something that I've thought about before, simply because yeah, no, they do. Spear chuckers are crazy good when it comes to that. I think spear chuckers are something that, out of all of our support weapons, it's the spear chucker, and then the rock lobber, maybe. The spear chucker is great because it does what we want it to do, and that is kill heroes. We can kill heroes fine, but the heroes in those armies are boosting up everybody else. So get them the fuck out of there before we even get there. Because then a unit of brutes going up against a regular unit of skeletons without any necromancers near it becomes a better fight for us at that point. In a Stormcast army, they don't have their little horn boy or their dude with the standard letting them do shenanigans or blowing us up with mortal wounds because we put a giant friggin' spear through his head, and now, guess what? Ha ha. And I like having those in my army. I only have one, but I have 2 rock lobbers, so I go the opposite route. I just kill off all their troops, which is a little weird. But I keep getting, off base on that. I want everybody here to know that Ironjawz aren't going anywhere. We're here to stay. We are, the bad guys. we're the big bad boys of destruction. I don't care what anybody says. It could be someone saying that, oh well, we have Gloomspite now and need any of that. And okay, you could say that until we figure out how to beat Gloomspite, and that is, of course, they have shitty troops. That's just how it is. And honestly, if you want to take a unit of Troggoths and charge my brutes, that's perfectly fine. You gotta get them when you can, man. If you want to take a unit of Troggoths and charge my brutes, okay, bring it in. I will happily beat the hell out of those things because they're big. These new armies are really strong, if you want to put it like that, but they're not strong. They have things that they have to take. Fortunately for us, everything in our army we kind of have to take and we want to take. Maybe not gore grunters all the time, but that's just how it is. I think we need something like that, and that's why I was saying maybe a thing with the War Chanter or with the Shaman, where he has like the Shaman has a mass spell, where if anybody within this certain range, you heal a mortal wound, and on a roll of this, you heal D3 mortal wounds, or something like that. Something stupid that's going to be hard to cast, but because we have our bonuses to cast, it will go off. That'll make us even more like, oh my god. I think making a War Chanter or Priest would really help. I think its ability is good. Its ability needs to last from hero phase to hero phase. And, a D3 would be good. I don't think it would ever happen. And if it would happen, it would be, it's cast on a 5 and on a 9 or something like that. It goes off with a D3. On a cast of a 5, 6, 7, or 8, it's 1 mortal wound, which still, for us, 1 mortal wound for anybody within a certain range, Still pretty good, especially, since we have... Oh, CJ, I'll change your mind about War Chanters. Everybody, I love War Chanters still. They do suck in certain areas, but at the same time, they're good. They can boost and they can double boost, which is the thing that I still don't understand that we're allowed to do it, but apparently people still do it, where you take 2 War Chanters and you throw their shaky sticks on a unit, and both of their shaky sticks go off, and so it's a +2. I mean, they're bad in regarding they're bad in the same way a shaman is bad. A shaman does its job okay, and a War Chanter does its job better. Here's the problem: we have a very aggressive army that wants to get into a fight, and neither one of those guys should be in a fight. If your War Chanter is in combat, you screwed up. Even if it's against regular... Yeah, that's what I didn't know either, and I've been seeing people, tell me if it doesn't. I didn't think it did. If it does stack, I need to get another War Chanter. No, they're terrible at fighting. They're terrible at fighting. But here's the thing. With multiple War Chanters, you can put on multiple units, and that makes those units better. You can make one unit really good, you make many units better. And I prefer the better one. So if you take 2 to 3... CJ's gonna run off and check. Hold on. Just hear him running out. Just hold on, I gotta go. I thought it applied. I thought the rule of 1 applied. But from what I've seen, it doesn't. See? I need to get another one. Or just get another, start collecting box and get rid of the Gore Grunters, because, meh. I don't know. I like the Gore Grunters, but I don't at the same time. Oh, it's so great when you get that foot of Gork off, isn't it? It's just... It's like when you're that first taste of something great, you just cooked an amazing meal and just oh, uh-oh. I only have one. Well, I have more, but they're painted differently, and I'm thinking of selling off my other ones just because the army color doesn't match, and I have OCD like that, and they have to match. But I need another one of these now, so I give him a little club, so he looks a little different. But yeah, no, I did that to my buddy Stormcast army where I got Foot of Gork off, and I think I stomped 4 things. It was bad. It was just crush, and he hated it. I was like, well, dude, what do you expect? Yeah? You have 4 of them? You really want to make sure that stuff is going to be hitting better, don't you? But, regarding that, I would, if I had 3 of them, with my 3 units that I have, if I have 4, that's because I have 4 units. I want 1 devoted to each unit, simply because that makes that unit so much better. Brutes are hitting on 2s, and Ardboys are hitting on 3s. And I know Ardboys hitting on 2s is better, but it doesn't make it better if it means that a unit of Brutes is only hitting on 2s. And here's why isn't hitting on 2s. Because our Mega Bosses that you team them up with, if I'm going to do a foot-based army, it's going to be multiple units of Brutes, maybe a big block in the middle of my Ardboys, multiple Mega Bosses, multiple heroes at that point too. So 2 Mega Bosses, 3 Shaman, or 3 War Chanters and a Shaman or 2 or something like that. Do you have enough for the 4 to go in there? I want to see what they do with us, though. I want to see them give us... If they gave us a chariot, and that could be changed, a multi-part chariot, that could be 2 different things, and some sort of platform, or I don't know, give us the old glyph idol thing where it's a big totem pole that we can put in the middle of our board and say, hey, guess what? If you're within this, it's like that tree. You can run and charge. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. Or shamans get better, or something, just something like that. That's all we need. Homework. Oh, I don't have homework anymore. I have a drinking problem. I guess that's what you can call it. No, but that's really all we need. We need some support and something like that. Yeah, I still say give us a Grunta Mega Boss. Take the Mega Boss and give him, what is it, like 3 extra wounds and a better movement. And that's really it. Like, that's how I think. Oh, 2. I break it down that the wounds on the mount are added to the wounds of the rider. Usually that's how I like to put it. So a boss on foot is 7 wounds. So make him 9 wounds, give him a 9-inch move, and that's it. That would make him 10 times better. Simply because he can move better. And a 9 wound 9-inch moving mega boss can hold a flank by himself. That's a bad thing to deal with right there. That's I wouldn't want to fight him. I want to see a Gore-Grunta chariot. I still say that. Maybe even not have a weapons platform on it. I don't know. Like one with just guys, one with a boss, and one with like a shaman. Oh, a shaman on a chariot? That'd be so cool looking. Just like him riding around, like shooting fucking lasers at people or throwing up on them, whatever you want him to do. That'd be so cool. I would be so down for that. And see, this is the thing about us being not having a lot in our army. We can not, glorify or fantasize, but we can come up with speculative believability of this is what we should have next. This would be a really cool thing to have next. And I don't want to say that, GW watches us. They're not the CIA or anything like that. But there are some people out there that maybe are part of the organization. I'm going to put it like that are part of GW that are looking at these pages that are, saying that they're themselves and they want to see what people are saying because they want to listen. And if we say it loud enough, like Ironjawz do, they'll get noticed because GW is constantly wanting to know what we want and giving it to us, And I know some people would say, well, nobody wanted Age of Sigmar. Really? Nobody wanted Age of Sigmar. Nobody was tired of the flanking, of the rank and flank kind of thing, and no new stuff coming out for that, and nobody buying anything new. Oh God, that whole conversation. I gotta look at it. Something like that is just okay. You can call me bigoted about it if you want, but no, I don't want that. I want my boss to be an orc because orcs are best, and of the orcs, the Ironjawz are the best of all the orcs. So that's how it goes. Sorry. Yeah, me too. But I'm happy that we got at least that. Like, I like the fact that they noticed us at that point. But what that means is that also for our Chaos Undivided loving brethren out there and sisters, Dark Oath should be a thing. And I like the Dark Oath. I like the Viking Conan aspect of it. I think they look really cool. I don't know how good they'll be, simply because they're just guys and girls in loincloths at that point. I'm not afraid of them, right? It's just a bunch of marauders at that point. Ooh, scary. But they could make them really good. But also, John, we got to remember that we've already had chaos. Yeah, right? It does. And their Underworld's gang is interesting. I haven't seen it do well, but from what I've heard, it needs to match up a certain way. But it could be. I think they could be good. But we've already had the time of chaos against order, and then we had the time of death against order. We're next. We have to be next. It is the most plausible thing to do, whether it's a financial idea or a story-driven idea, simply because it's the best course of action. We will never see a Gorka Morka model, even though we have Alariel and Nagash and stuff, but we could have more to do with Gorka Morka, with potential increasing in idols, new monsters, new characters. I want to see more characters pop out of this, because we are, our armies are the faceless masses, even though we are an elite orc army, but we are the faceless masses. But at the same time, we are driven by our characters. Every army in an Ironjawz, Destruction, any of them, is led by very charismatic beings that lead this at the front. Gordrak is the face of Ironjawz, but what about, can't we have some other ones? I want to see some other guys. I know people would say, "Oh, they should resurrect Grimgor." They kind of did. Gordrak is Grimgor, if you want to think about it. He is our Grimgor now. Skagrat is kind of a weird amalgamation of magic users and Skarsnik. And I know everybody misses Skarsnik. I do too. He was the best. But we're not going to get these guys back, and we shouldn't be looking into the past to getting new things. We should be looking towards what kind of character would you want? What do you want to see when it comes to that? Not just units. We talk a lot about units. We want this for army. What kind of character do you want to drive your army? Are you one of the two when it comes to? Do you like the broodingly cunning or the cunningly brutal? Do you want it to be someone who's sneaky and smart, or do you want someone who's a big just monster with just wants to rip things apart? Or do you want maybe a character that's closer to a war chanter, someone who is just there to psych everybody up and get them really riled, like a war chanter on steroids? Or do you want a new shaman character, maybe a shaman character that's able to cast more than one spell, like 2 spells or whatever turn, but also just so much more powerful than what we have? We could have any of these things we want, and I really want to know what you guys would like with that. But on that note too, I'm gonna go. I gotta get to sleep. I had a job interview via Skype today, and I was like so amped for it. I really want this job, and you'll find out more about that if I get it. But I really want this job, and I was really excited, and we need them, and we'll get them. We'll most likely get them. I'd even take standard destruction ones that go with any orc shaman, because why not? Let's share the wealth at that point. But guys, gals, everybody out there, thank you for listening to my stupid little rant today. More to come, and who knows, maybe next time it'll just be me painting and talking about something. We can do, I don't know, arrange Google Hangouts and stuff like that, and talks of a podcast, obviously. So let's keep going on. Let's paint up some more brutes. Let's smash some more heads in. Let's have some more fun, and let's keep wawing, you guys. All right? Talk to you later.